What the heck is Formula One?
Pole position, strategy,
yachts and parties,
safety car, Ferrari.
beautiful corners.
Oh, right, okay. There's a car in front of you. Try and overtake it.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Hello, you fools. Welcome back to another Formula Fools podcast. My name is David. With me is Skin.
Oh, yeah.
That is high energy for the fourth episode we're recording today.
Yep, look at me go. I was just thinking a second coffee wouldn't kill me.
Yeah, I reckon it's a post Lewis record flick.
Yeah,
I reckon.
I like it.
Yeah, we are doing a 34 in 34 day podcast series. So that means for 34 days, you're going to get an episode a day to launch into the 2026 season. We're covering all the teams, all the drivers, and giving you our opinions on this year's cars, how they're looking from a design point of view and from an aero point of view. So if this is the first episode you're listening to, please go back to the previous 17 and give them a listen as well. That sounds like a big fucking task. Don't worry, they're not all that long.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go check it out. If you have been here the whole time, thank you so much. Drop us a comment and just tell us how you're going with it. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what your favorite episode is.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us what we can do better. We will have already recorded everything, so we won't be able to fix it by tomorrow. But I mean, for future episodes.
Yeah. For next preseason.
Yeah. The next preseason, the rest of this season, we can try to do things better.
Of course.
Yep. Thanks.
Go Skin.
Also, if that's too big of an ask, just try and follow along for the rest of the series, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. There'd still be 15 or so episodes left.
Holy shit, yeah. No, we're halfway through now. 17 doing 34.
Yeah,
It's the halfway mark.
Oh, yeah. All right. There you go.
Go Skin.
So, yeah.
Oh, no, this is
follow along
8.
for the
Is this
rest of them.
18? This could be 8. I don't know where we are. I'm so fucking lost right now.
Well,
I feel like we're over halfway. Anyway, Skin. Today,
yes.
who are we talking about?
We are talking today about Lewis Hamilton.
Yep.
Sir Lewis Hamilton. How
Nope.
dare I?
Won't say, you can. That is his official name, but I refuse to say it.
Oh, why?
I'm not a Lewis Hamilton fan, so I don't want to give him any more flowers than he already gets. I'm being cynical, Dave. I'm being a little bitch, okay?
Yeah, okay. Shock me.
I'm
what
going to try and
why
take
do you-
my cynical hat off for the rest
please.
of this podcast.
Okay. What do you have to do to be called Sir? You got to get knighted.
Gotta
do
get
you?
knighted,
By the
yeah.
gold. Well, yeah, not the Queen anymore.
Nope. Well, yeah, you've got to be knighted just by a member of the royal family in England. But there are a lot of knights and sirs from history that were knighted from French or Spanish or Portuguese royalty and things like that as well. So it's just, you just got to be knighted.
And you get knighted by being good at driving.
His knighthood came for his commitment and dedication or something. I feel like this is what it was. It was his commitment and dedication to British sports.
Ah.
And being a sport ambassador. Same for David Beckham.
No way.
For his dedication to sport in general.
Wait, so we should be calling him Sir David Beckham?
Oh yeah.
Fuck
yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Martin Brundle's got a OBE, I think it is, which is like another recognition from royals. You get presented by the king or queen, things like that. Yeah. So yeah.
All right, there you go.
Mm.
All right, well, that's his name covered, unless he's got a middle one in there, I guess. Yeah.
No, there is no middle name because I fucking forgot. Well, he maybe has a middle name. You guys let us know. I don't know.
Probably.
There's nothing in this one. He's from United Kingdom. He's from Stevenage, a little town down south in England. Never been. Don't really know. Honestly, you could show me a map of England. Would not be able to show you where it is. Don't know where it is. I just know it's in the south.
Mm-hmm.
But he speaks like an American because he's un-English. Dave, take your cynical hat off. Stop being a bitch, okay? Come on.
What do you mean he speaks like an American?
He speaks with an American accent, man.
You reckon?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. What if you search Lewis Hamilton interview 2007 and then listen to an interview this year? It's two different people. He's got a different voice.
Like he's more American now.
Way more American tones because he lives there and he doesn't live in England anymore. And like, I get it. I get it. My accent is so fucking weird. I don't sound like I'm from Nottingham. I don't sound like I'm from Sheffield. And I say words now and my dad's like, you sound Australian when you say that. So like my accent is just all over the fucking place. So I get it. Like,
oh, okay. But because it's Lewis, you hate it.
Because it's Lewis, I hate him. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where's he live in America?
Oh, I think he just lives everywhere in the world. Like I think, he's got fucking places everywhere, but he spends a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah. He spends a lot of time like recording and shit in America. But then during the off season, he'll travel quite a lot. Like he put a fucking video out 2 years ago, some shit in the off season. And I don't know where he was in the world, but he was running with penguins in looked like the Antarctic. Like he was genuinely just, all you could see around was snow and there was just penguins next to him while he was on a run. Yeah. Like He fucking trains hard, this guy.
Yeah, okay.
So his birthday is the 7th of January, 1985. Oh, we got an old boy.
An actual adult. Someone that doesn't make me feel ancient. I'm young again.
So it was just his birthday, just past. If you remember when you and Eloise were pregnant with Maeve, I was very nervous because your due date, I'm pretty sure your due date was the 7th or it was the 6th or something like that.
7th of Jan, yeah.
So I was very nervous because you could have been born on the same day. Maeve could have been born on the same day as Lewis Hamilton.
Shit, that would have
And I'll remember that till the day I die, that Maeve's due date was Lewis Hamilton's birthday. And then I can't tell you how happy I was when she was born before that.
Yes.
His F1 debut year was in 2007. So going into 2026, he will turn 41, which is an impressive feat to still be racing at the top end of the sport at 41. His debut year was 2007. He has driven for McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari. So 2007 through to 2012, I think, was with McLaren. And then he went to Mercedes through till 2025. And then he has been, 2024. And then in 2025, he's been at Ferrari from 2025 into 26. He's had 380 race starts. Sorry, I had to take a pause there because that seemed way too fucking low.
Really?
380. Charles Leclerc's had 171. But I guess nowadays there's a lot more races. 2007, there was like 18 races or 17. Like, there was a lot less. Wow. I thought he'd done over 400. I mean, I'm on the official F1 website now.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, that sounds like it would be accurate.
Yeah. Wow.
380. I mean, it's a few races.
It's a hell of a lot of races. But I don't know why. It feels like he's been in the sport my entire life. Because he kind of had, I'll tell you now, the 2007, his first season was the first full season that I watched like every single race and really started to follow the championship. I was 11 years old.
Okay.
And I really got into it that season.
Did you getting into it have anything to do with Lewis being there or? Really?
British driver, like there was so much hype with him in England. Like I was very excited for Lewis Hamilton coming onto the scene. I was a very big Lewis fan, 2007, 8, 9. Yeah.
You were a big Lewis fan, 2007.
Oh yeah, I cheered when he won in 2008, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
He was a British driver. We'd not had a British driver winning in quite a while at this point. And the amount of hype and expectation that was on his shoulder. The first black driver racing in Formula One. Like there was a lot of things to be proud of with Lewis entering the sport.
Okay.
In 2007.
What happened to you being a fan of him? Why do you hate him so much now?
Just watch any of his interviews from 2010 onwards. Watch his attitude, see how he tax evades, see how much of a shit bloke he is. Yeah. So I didn't realize that he'd only had that many races. So that very impressive.
Only 380. Oh. What's he been doing?
Come on, Lewis. Out of them 380, he's won 105 races and had 202 podiums. So fair amount.
Yeah, okay.
He's heard his national anthem quite a bit with the 105 race wins.
Yeah, crikey.
He has had 104 poles. So my thing of, the pole to win ratio being, if it's around the 1-to-1, then you're a fucking great driver.
He's pretty much 1-to-1.
He's pretty much He's as close as 1-to-1 you can get than being 1-to-1.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but he's leaning in the better way where he's had one more race win than pole position. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Go Lewis.
Yeah, go Lewis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. 7 world championships under his belt. A lot of people would argue 8, but he didn't win in 21. Max did. Max beat him fair and square, but still a lot of people say he got 8.
Okay.
Fuck you all. Leave that in. Ferrari is his current team going into 2026. But obviously we're all going to remember him, unless he dominates and wins 2 more championships in Ferrari. We're all going to remember him for his Mercedes years and being, in the silver arrows and fucking dominating in that car. So yeah, that's Lewis Hamilton. There's his stats.
All right, little top line summary of the man.
That's it. Let's look at his junior career.
Yeah, please.
Is really weird because looking at these dates, we've been talking about dates in the 2010s. Yeah. We're now looking at dates in his junior career. His go-karting, there's a lot of interviews of him and his dad when he was a kid in go-karts on the BBC and ITV and things like that, covering, this young star who is, making headlines in the karting career. So he made a name for himself in junior racing in karts, and he would wear a helmet very similar to Ayrton Senna, who was his hero growing up. He would have been, around Senna's peak era, he would have been, 6-7 years old and would have been he would have been racing go-karts at the time. And then towards Senna's death, he would have been, 9 years old. And everyone in England was a Senna fan. Everyone around the world was a Senna fan because he was lighting up F1. So, Lewis really took Senna's way of driving and mindset on driving. And then, going into the early 2000s with Schumacher, we've spoken about this, about these being the trendsetters for being an elite athlete. Like Senna was the first, then Schumacher. And then you can look forward at pretty much everyone after Schumacher was the same. But Lewis really studied that shit from a young age. And during his karting career and his junior career was very much about the mindset and the body, but also learned as much as he could about cars and setups and his driving style to give him a very successful junior career. In 2005, seems like an age ago, he won the Formula 3 Euro Series, absolutely dominating this season, won 15 out of the 20 races. And basically everyone on the grid was scared of Lewis Hamilton racing alongside him because he was just an absolute fucking weapon. Would make amazing overtakes and was so consistent with his tires and with everything else, and really got noticed in 2005. He was already noticed, but this was a very big thing for him to show that he could travel around Europe and dominate everywhere he went pretty much. What comp did you say that was? That was the Formula 3 Euro Series. Okay. Yeah. You okay? Yeah, great. Oh, okay. Thought you were going to ask another question. You look very confused. Not yet. Yeah. Okay. In 2006, he was promoted into GP2, which is now what we know as Formula 2. This was the main series. So the Formula 3 Euro Series was not GP3 because it was GP3 back then, but it was a smaller European series where they would travel around a lot of European tracks. And he won that. So then in 2006, he won the GP2 championship, which forced them to promote him into Formula 1 in 2007. He beat out the likes of Nelson Piquet Jr. and Adrian Sutil during these 2 years. Phenomenal drivers, both of them. Obviously, Nelson Piquet Sr., a multiple world champion, I'm pretty sure, maybe a one-time world champion. But, the Piquet family was a very big family, is still a very big family in motorsport and a lot of Brazilian backing and heritage there. So for him to go and beat Nelson Piquet Jr. was, very impressive as his first year in GP2 and also just this young kid from England, from Stevenage. Something to note in this one, I think I mentioned it briefly in the McLaren episode, but at the end of 2006, this was back when you could do unlimited testing. McLaren did a test with him and he stepped into the car and went around a testing track with, I want to say it was Nick Heidfeld. I know I couldn't remember his name during the McLaren episode as well. And I'm sure I said Nick Heidfeld then as well. I'm going to lock it in as Nick Heidfeld. Nick Heidfeld was a good driver. Nick Heidfeld was a very confident driver in his abilities. Didn't do much in Formula 1, politics and whatever else interfered with his career. But he was a test driver for many years for McLaren. And Nick said the first day he saw Lewis get in the car and he watched his data, in his words on the Beyond the Grid podcast, Nick says, I looked at his data and thought, oh fuck, we've got a serious issue here. And he refers to we, he says in his words, I refer to we as everyone in motorsport, because he says if Nick Heidfeld's got an issue, then everyone's got an issue. Because Nick Heidfeld, this is what I mean when he was a cocky driver, he believed that he was one of the best. So if Lewis is outshining him, he's outshining everyone. Right. And so Nick was like one of the first people to truly see Lewis Hamilton arrive. And this was when Nick knew that he was never going to get into McLaren because Lewis was going to be so much fucking quicker than he was. Okay. When you say looked at the data, what does that mean? What the heck does that mean to look at the data? What data are you looking at? Everything. Throttle trace, throttle pressure, when you're coming on and off the throttle, the brake trace, the brake pressure, the steering angle, how much speed you're carrying in a corner, through a corner, out of a corner, at what velocity you're turning the car in, and how you can turn a car in real fucking aggressively, but then be smooth on your exit, which is quite a classic old school way of driving, and Lewis kind of drives that way. But as Lewis has gotten older, he's kind of developed into a smoother driving style. You can see literally every single bit of data in everything Lewis does to the car, and Nick you can like overlay them and see them side by side, or literally over the top of his own data, and just see, I'm pushing. Nick will get out of the car and go, I've done everything within my ability in that car, in every aspect of it. And then to overlay Lewis's data and go, he's doing so much more. I physically can't do that. Gotcha. Okay. It's a confidence thing. It's just a natural feel under your bum of like when the car's sliding, when you need to correct. It's everything. It's really hard to explain it without. This is why I would love to do a factory tour or some shit at some point and like have an engineer show you the data because like they'll explain it a lot better than I can and they will be able to literally show you. But also, you would have felt it when you did that Toyota day in the car. You will have felt under your bum how the car was sliding. If you were to do that once a month for a year, you would be able to sit with a driver coach, you would feel your progression and you would be able to see it on the data. So then you'd get a better understanding of that. When I was racing karts as a kid and then racing sims later on and being able to look at the data, that's the only reason I really know. And I don't have a full understanding to the level of these guys.
Sure.
So like, you know, I kind of know an insight, but I also know like if a driver's saying that they look at the data and it's like, well, holy fuck, then that's when you know it's impressive because a driver will never hype up another driver unless they're genuinely impressed.
Yeah.
So listening to Nick Heidfeld on the Beyond the Grid podcast a couple of years back, the way he talks about Lewis as a rival into McLaren was like, this guy's a weapon. Like he's one of the best ever in the sport.
Right,
and Nick could see it at the end of 2006 before he'd even raced an F1 car.
Okay.
So then 2007, Lewis's first season in McLaren, a lot of controversy that year. There was Spygate. He challenged for the championship, almost won. I think he finished second, losing by 1 point to Kimi Räikkönen. There's controversy there with his China race when he went off into the gravel, whether he did it on purpose or not to throw the championship because politically they had to with the FIA. With the spy allegations, they kind of McLaren were kind of disqualified from the Constructors' Championship, and there's rumors that there was an under-table agreement that neither Lewis nor what's the guy with the white hair? His teammate wouldn't. I can't remember his fucking name. That neither Mercedes drivers would win the championship. There's a rumors that he threw it on purpose in China.
What year are we talking about?
2007.
Mercedes.
McLaren Mercedes.
Wasn't his McLaren teammate in 2007 Alonso?
No. Yes. Sorry, I'm thinking of 2008 when it was Mika Hakkinen in the car with him. Yeah, Fernando Alonso was 2007. So it was Fernando, Kimi and Lewis that were going for the championship in 2007. You're right. Sorry, Skin.
Okay, thank you. Tell me a bit more about that year. Because so you said he lost the championship by 1 point to
Kimi.
Mm-hmm. And he tied with Alonso.
Yeah.
Alonso also lost the championship by 1 point to Kimi.
Yeah.
But Alonso won the world championship in 2005 and 2006.
Yep.
And it was Lewis's debut year.
Yep.
That seems odd.
Well, and this is what Nick Heidfeld was talking about, right? Yeah. Is that so everyone needs to be scared.
Yeah. So like it was obvious immediately that he was very, very good.
Yep. Preseason testing, he showed up like when we talk, when I talk about Kimi Antonelli coming into the sport now, and you say that Kimi Antonelli, I've said things like Kimi Antonelli is the brightest prospect since Max Verstappen. I say Lewis Hamilton because Max went into a Toro Rosso before the Red Bull, right? Lewis was for Mercedes at the time. Mercedes was still a top tier team, so for them to go and choose a rookie while they've got Fernando Alonso, a 2-time world champion, and for them to give them equal treatment. Unreal, unheard of, like would never normally happen. But I think it's just that you couldn't tame Lewis. Lewis he's a weapon of a driver, and it just that season it was him putting his flag in the ground and saying I'm fucking here, and it forced Fernando to leave and go back to Renault in 2008 because there was so much toxicity throughout that year. Like Fernando in a qualifying session went into the pits to refuel and change tires. They'd finished and they're waving him out, and he's just sat there. Because Lewis is sat behind him trying to get refuel and tyres as well. So he sat there so that Lewis can't get back out and do another lap, ruining it for Lewis. Fernando played dirty shit in 2007. Real dirty shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you don't fuck with Fernando. Yeah. Yeah, you don't fuck with Fernando. Fernando will fuck you, like hard.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Lewis learnt a lot that year. And when we look at Lewis versus Nico in 14, 15, 16, and we see the mind games that they played against each other, Lewis learnt a lot of them mind games from Fernando and from his early days in McLaren. And we see it through to today. A lot of the mind games that Lewis plays and Lewis having that, prestige and being able to, stand with his shoulder out, his chest out is because he learnt that in F1, you've got to mentally fuck your opponent before you fuck him on track, which is why I don't think Charles will ever beat him.
Okay.
Because Lewis knows how to fuck people.
All right.
That's the wrong thing. That's the wrong wording, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Holy heck. You've covered a lot of things there. Probably the first thing I want to ask about is 2008.
Yep.
So they've had this epic battle in 2007, Alonso and Lewis, which seems crazy given he was a rookie and Alonso was a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
2008 comes around and what happened? So McLaren, I assume McLaren don't want their drivers battling that way or something, some sort of toxicity happens. They essentially aren't going to be in the same team.
No. Yeah. I can't remember if it was Fernando left or McLaren sacked him because of the off-track shit that was happening as well. They were embarrassing themselves in front of sponsors and things like that. It was actually a very funny sponsor. Santander, the bank, English bank, they put out an advert. You know that song, Everything You Can Do, I Can Do Better? They had Fernando and Lewis in a hotel, and everything they were doing, like getting out the door, first to the elevator, they were racing. And then they went in different elevators and it was first one down, first one out concierge, like someone gets tripped over. It was so funny. Go back and watch it from 2007. Such a funny advert. But yeah, they were getting embarrassed. And so either Fernando decided to leave because it wasn't a space he felt he could compete in, or he felt like McLaren were going to favor Lewis, which 100% they were. Like Lewis was the future and had this amazing, had all this data and a rookie season to prove that he was one of the best ever. He was going to be one of the best ever in our sport. And so yeah, Fernando left and they brought in Heikki Kovalainen. I think I got his name wrong. Did I say Mika Hakkinen before? Fuck, Mika Hakkinen was a McLaren driver in the 90s and a champion. Heikki Kovalainen was the Finnish driver that they brought in. I get them mixed up because they're both Finnish and they both have white hair. Okay. Sue me. So they brought Heikki Kovalainen in, phenomenal driver, great number 2 for Lewis for 08 for him to win the championship. And then, he kind of saw a bit of a drought through 09, 10, 11, 12 until he went to Mercedes and really struggled throughout them years at McLaren. But 2008 was just Lewis, just the Lewis Hamilton year, like dominated.
Wait, say that again. Sorry,
2008.
No, before that, 9, 10, what?
9, 10, 11, 12 was just kind of like struggle years for him. He got race wins, he got podiums, he got things like that, but just McLaren started their decline after 2008. 2009 was the first year of their decline, I would say.
Okay. So he had 3 years of being not particularly impressive or
9 he was still good. It was more the car. It wasn't Lewis. Yeah, it was nothing to do with Lewis. It was more the car. 9 he was still good. 10 with the new regulations and Renault just getting their engine so fucking perfect and Red Bull dominating. We saw the drop off big time then, and then 11 and 12 were big drop off years for McLaren, and that's when he left.
Okay, right. So he tried, was he under contract or he just tried to stick it out and make McLaren good again for a few years and then just eventually gave up? Yeah,
in the late noughties, early 2010s, if you're going to put a bet on any teams on the grid, the only 2 teams you're really putting a bet on is McLaren and Ferrari. Bear in mind, Mercedes weren't in the sport. Red Bull in the late noughties they were laughed at. Like we spoke about that in the Red Bull episode, right? Like they were literally laughed at. It wasn't until that 10 through 13 years where they dominated that people started taking Red Bull serious. So there was only Ferrari or McLaren that you drove for. They were the only 2 teams that were going to win the championship during that time. Renault, but with the Spygate stuff and Flavio being banned, they shot themselves in the foot big time with cheating. Not Spygate. That was Ferrari. That was Ferrari and McLaren with the Crashgate saga in 07. Yeah. In 08, whenever it was, but around that late noughties era, they really shot themselves in the foot and got a bad reputation. Big drivers didn't want to go there. Mm-hmm. So it was really only Ferrari and McLaren. So he kind of had to tough it out because Ferrari were never going to sign him.
Okay.
So.
Wait, what? Why were Ferrari never going to sign him? Oh.
Fernando went there.
Yeah, okay, right. Gotcha. Mm. Okay. So he just had to tough it out with McLaren for a few years and then eventually the opportunity at Mercedes popped up.
Yep. Mercedes came to him, Niki Lauda came to him and convinced him to go. And, we talk about iconic things with Red Bull being laughed at in 2009. Lewis was laughed at going to Mercedes, and a lot of people, there was so many headlines, wrong move, big mistake, like it's going to be a flop. And then history speaks for itself. He won 6 of his 7 world championships with them. They won 8 constructors championships together, and they had the most dominant era we've ever seen in the sport. So people were wrong. I was one of those people. I said it was a bad move, and it turned out not to be a bad move, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he moves to Mercedes around 2013, I think it was.
Yep.
And it's immediately great, or it takes a little while to warm up, or what's that like?
Yes, 2013 was a lot of podiums, a lot of pole positions, a lot of great qualifyings. One lap pace was no doubt they had it, but they just didn't have it in the races. They couldn't keep the tires up to temperature. They just didn't have great race pace in general, and would fall back quite a lot during that season. So it was obvious that Mercedes was going to be good, but they needed to figure some things out with their racecraft. So yeah, they actually struggled in 2013 a bit to do well in the championship, and then 2014 that was when it was just like bang, they got it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they won the championship in 2014. He won 6 of his 7 championships at Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that begs the question. Obviously, I mean, he's won 7 world championships. Obviously, he's a great driver. And then coming up as a young fella, everyone's looking at his stats, and he's this amazing thing, and is a McLaren. But I guess winning, so I understand he's good, but I guess winning 6 of your 7 championships with one team begs the question, like, how much of it is he's amazing, and how much of it is he's in an amazing car?
Yep. And that is the question. That's the $1 million question.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Like that's what during his dominant era, anti-Lewis Hamilton fans, me, said it was the car. During Max's dominant era, everyone said it's the car.
Okay.
My opinion on that is, let's look at Max's, because I think it's more immediate and easy, and you know it a bit more, and most of our audience will know Max's career a bit more. In 2021, Max and Lewis were in very equal cars. Mercedes won the world championship, so you could argue that Mercedes had the faster car, although I would argue it's more that they had 2 drivers that were better overall over a season over Red Bull. But Max won the Drivers' World Championship. So you could argue that Max won the championship in not the fastest car, right? In 2022-3, Max won in the fastest car. Red Bull won the championships. 23, they fucking wiped the floor with everyone. 2024, Max wins the championship. McLaren win the constructors. So Red Bull again didn't have the fastest car. They actually finished 3rd that season in the championship. So they had the 3rd fastest car. So for me, you can look at Max and go, you can look at Max's 4 world championships and go, 2 of them, he wasn't in the fastest car. 2 of them he was. You look at Lewis's, his 2008 championship, Ferrari won, I think it was Ferrari won the constructors that year, or McLaren didn't win the constructors that year, but all of his Mercedes ones, they did win the constructors.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you can argue he won 6 of his, he won the bulk of his championships in the fastest car. And from 17, 18, 19, 20, he had a number 2 driver with Valtteri Bottas, who was literally told at times to move out the way for Lewis Hamilton.
Right. Okay. Yes, I see what you're saying.
I'm trying to take my cynical hat off and not be like, because my true opinion is, yes, it was mainly the car. However, you can't take away his speed. You can't take away how amazing he is. But I think this year in Ferrari will define who he is, because George beat him on fair terms in a Mercedes. Charles has beat him on fair terms in a Ferrari. Jensen beat him in a McLaren, like when the McLaren wasn't as good.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then also in amongst all of that, so 17, 18, 19, 20, he's got Bottas, who's been told to get out of the way for him.
Yep.
He's won 4 of his championships there. So he would have won 2 others before that.
With Nico.
Nico.
Yep.
And then 2016, he lost to Rosberg.
Yep.
What happened in 2016? Why did he lose that championship?
So, yeah, I would, again, I'll give you my opinion, then I'll give you my opinion with the cynical hat off.
Okay.
So my cynical opinion, Rosberg beat him over the season because of everything Rosberg did, which is also true. Rosberg did stupid shit like his gloves. He had his gloves redesigned to have no stitching, because he believed the stitching would add too much weight to the car. Stitching in gloves. Rosberg slept in a completely separate room, sometimes in a different apartment to his wife, because he believed that she was a distraction. And he made this dedication, and he sat down with her and said at the beginning of the 2016 season, hey, I'm going all in. Like, I'm going to do every aspect of my life needs to be perfect. I need to be the best athlete I can ever be if I'm going to beat Lewis, because Lewis is the best. And he's like, I need to fucking strip all away the bullshit and just focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's beating Lewis. And that's why he retired at the end of 2016. So, yeah, you can look at that and say that's why Lewis lost. You can also look at Lewis's season. Just look at Lewis's results. He had engine failures. He had technical issues throughout the season. Like, I think it was Barcelona was one of his, was it? No, not Barcelona. Can't remember. It was one of the European tracks. He had it might have been Hungary. He had an engine failure, and there's a shot of his car like rolling to a standstill, and he stood up in his cockpit, just like holding his head in frustration because of the engine blew up, and he had flames coming out the back of the car. So you could look at that and say, if he had finished that race, he would have won the championship.
Oh, okay, so it was a close championship.
Very close championship. Went down to the last race.
Right.
Yeah, went down to the last race. Like, it was very, very close. So there's two sides to every story kind of thing. And I think you could look at Lewis as from a point of view of he got unlucky and things didn't go his way in 2016, but you could also look at it as Rosberg fucking dominated every aspect of his life to make himself perfect that year.
Gotcha. Okay. And then to jump back a little bit, without trying to make it a complete shambles, but I sort of had a few more questions around his like junior career and coming up, I suppose, and just trying to get an understanding of, like how good he was, what the expectations were, sort of thing. Because you've mentioned like looking at his stats in 2006, where everyone, people were sort of amazed and expecting him to be this great big thing.
Yeah.
But 2006, he was born in 1985. 2006, like he made his debut in 2007 in Formula One. He's already 22 years of age. Was the sport different back then? That feels weird to me. Like you look at drivers now and they're in junior programs
18.
at fucking 14 and they're like Max's first Formula One drive was 16, 17 or something.
And
so was he amazing as a junior? I would have thought if you had this amazing junior on the rise that you would have been trying to get him into Formula 3, Formula 2 a lot earlier than that. Yeah,
so it was just a different time. Drivers, Lewis coming in at being signed at 21 he was a young driver at the time. Like Seb signed when he was a teenager, I think 18, 19, something like that. And that was, again, when Seb was signed, it was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like it was phenomenal back then. Like they were breaking records and it's just gotten younger and younger as we've gone on now. Because I think, you've got to go back again to the 80s to Senna and Prost. And like you look at the way that Senna performed as an athlete, looked after his body and everything from a younger age. And that's why he had a good long career. You look at Schumacher, same thing. Like at a very young age, he was building his mind and his body up to be a world champion. And I think then going into the early 2000s and into 2010s, you see a lot more of them drivers coming through, but they're having to break the molds in the early 20s, late, 19, 20, 21 kind of thing. They're breaking the mold then. And now we're seeing it that the mold doesn't need to be broken. The mold's broken and teams have woken up and gone, drivers can drive at 18 because they've been fucking preparing since they were 6. They've been preparing since they were 4. Like at 18, they're 15 years potentially into their training for F1. So, that's just why we're seeing younger drivers now. And back then it just wasn't as common. But yeah, Lewis signed at 21 certainly wasn't a crazy, it was very normal for drivers to sign around then. But now it would be weird if you signed at 21.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think the thing to note there is that you look at Max, signing for and racing when he was 17. I think this is the impressive thing with Lewis is that had Lewis signed, this is when you compare Lewis and Max's early careers. If Lewis had signed at 17, would he have been as fast in F1? Probably not. Look at Max in them first few years. He wasn't ready to compete for a championship over a full season. Yeah, okay, season and a half, and then he got his first race win for Red Bull in his first race for Red Bull. But he wasn't ready to compete over a full season. He didn't have the mindset. He didn't have the experience. Whereas Lewis, taking that time, being 21, you're going to turn 29 this year. Yeah. Look at you when you were 17, 18 versus 23 versus now. Like, as you get older, you just know that back then you think you know the world, or you think you know this, or you know what I mean? And then you grow up and you get more level-headed and whatever else. Whereas, kids nowadays going into F1, like Kimi Antonelli, Ollie Behrman, they're having to grow up very quick and they're having to learn this shit very quick. And it's scary to see. But Lewis certainly went in my opinion, more prepared than Max was.
Right. Okay. And then in those early years, like, I feel like I'm sort of flogging a dead horse here, trying to wrap my head around what he was like in those early years. But just like what was happening, like that, the thing, like 2007, 2008 at McLaren with Fernando Alonso, I just can't understand. You've got a bloke who's a 2-time world champion.
Yep.
in 2005, 2006, like not like he fucking won these championships 20 years ago, you know, like presumably Fernando Alonso. I mean, he's still racing now. It's not like he was too old. Like he won.
He was young
last year and the year before he won. And he's probably like,
and his debut season, I think was 2004 or 3 or something.
Right.
So yeah, like,
so he's probably in the peak of his career. He's already got 2 world championships under the belt and
this kid just comes in.
Yeah, he just comes in and they're just looking at this bloke like, fuck off. I don't really care about your championships. Like, what was happening? What?
Ron Dennis was managing McLaren, and Ron Dennis loves drama, and Ron Dennis is he will pit 2 people against each other and let them fight and battle and scream and shout and blood and tears and sweat, and then whoever comes out on top, he will be like, I backed you all along. Ron Dennis is a ruthless manager. Did the same with Prost and Senna. He signed Prost to McLaren in the late 80s and did the exact same thing, put 2 of the best drivers in the world against. There's an interview in the Senna documentary when they announce, I think it's for the 88 season, they announce Honda, Senna and Prost as the partnership. It was the first time Honda had come in. It was the first time Senna was there. Prost had been there for a few years as a multiple world champion for McLaren. And someone said to him in an interview, he says, while he stood on this podium, he says, we believe we need the best engine. We've got that. We need the best 2 drivers. We've got that. And it's just like, you're an idiot. Like, this is not going to end well. And it didn't end well. Alain Prost ended up leaving McLaren because he, in his own words, he didn't feel like the team were behind him and he just didn't feel welcome in the team anymore. Ron Dennis's management style is fucking cutthroat and it has shot him in the foot a lot. This Fernando one was the biggest one, in my opinion. They lost a lot of money and reputation. And Fernando's a sour puss. Like, he will drag you down and through the mud if he has to.
Okay.
Which is why when he went back to McLaren in 2016, 17, whenever that was, and Honda went back to McLaren, it was such an iconic thing because Fernando had said some shit about McLaren. And it was like, he will never drive for them again. So him going back there was like, whoa.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But so fundamentally in those years, like, Lewis was just better. Like, just had better stats or something. Like, there was something about him that made them go, he's going to be better than the guy that's already got 2 world championships.
Yeah. He was their future. They'd invested in his junior program, in his junior career. Mercedes wanted to see him in the car. And they were his future. He was their future, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. We need to do, I think this might be the 4th time I've said it in this preseason 34 and 34, but we need to do one episode that's probably going to be an hour and a half long, just dedicated to the 2007 Spygate, the Spygate saga, and then everything that went on within this. You also need to watch the 2009 Brawn documentary on Disney Plus, because that's kind of tail end of all of this shit. And mate, them from 06 through to 2010, there is so much drama in them seasons. Off track, on track, there's just so much shit happened. It's unreal. But yeah, we really need to do a deep dive into this because it's fascinating.
Okay.
Looking ahead to the rest of Lewis's career, what have we got coming up? Well, in 2026, he's at Ferrari. He had a very bad 2025 in terms of publicly being shamed by the CEO of Ferrari, John Elkann, and a lot of pressure being put onto his shoulders. We also saw him deflate. We saw his mood really take a hit last year. I even started feeling sorry for him at some of the races, watching some of his interviews. You know, for one of the best in the sport, it's hard to see someone get crushed by the machine. Yeah.
I feel like you'd already seen a little bit of that the year before at Mercedes. Like he was already looking pretty devastated and sort of beaten. And then you kind of had fingers crossed that moving to Ferrari would turn a new leaf, and it certainly didn't. So
no. And this is what I say with his 2010 through 12 era at Mercedes, at McLaren as well, is whenever this is one of my biggest issues with Lewis is when the going gets tough. Max Verstappen last year, beginning of the season, didn't look like he was going to win. He rallied the team around him and he fucking pushed them forward. When the going gets tough for Lewis, he blames other people a lot. He goes sulky, he gets mardy, and he just gives one-word answers in interviews. And I just don't like his attitude. That's why I don't like him, is because when the going gets tough, during his big years at Mercedes, he had the Still We Rise. Where the fuck is Still We Rise now? Where the fuck is Team LH now? Because all of his Still We Rise was when you were in the best car winning every race. Of course you're rising. You're in the best fucking car. You need to be rising when you're at the bottom. Where's Still We Rise now? Where's it been since fucking 2021?
Okay.
That's my thing with Lewis. It's just like, I kept my cynical hat on until the very end.
Yeah. Well done.
But yeah, looking forward to 26. He's really got a point to prove. I think this is a make or break season for him for whether he stays in the sport. If Ferrari can't give him something this year, I've got a feeling he will retire after 26, and we'll never see him again in the sport. Or if they give him a semi-decent car with a promise of 27, he'll stay on till then and try again. Because ultimately, Lewis's goal with moving to Ferrari is not to come second, third, fourth, fifth. His 14th sometimes. His goal is to win ultimately. And so, he at the end of the day, he's a ruthless racer, and he's going to do everything he can this year in his performance to win. But if it doesn't happen in the first two races, he'll probably be sulky by, let's face it, by China. I think China's third race. Is it Australia, Japan, China? By China, he will probably be a sourpuss again if they don't win. And he'll be mardy as fuck.
I hope not.
I hope not. We said at the beginning, or we said in Charles' up, I'd love to see him and Charles battle in the Ferraris for the championship. That would be amazing.
Yep. So there we go.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. This has been a longer one for all the drive reps. If you want to follow along, please go back and watch all the previous episodes. We're about halfway through this series. So we're about halfway through Feb at this point. This will be what, like Feb 18th or some shit like that? Feb 17th? I don't know, somewhere around there. So we've got a few more weeks to go, or a few more weeks to go, two and a half more weeks. I'm in China as we record this, this episode goes live. No, as we record it, I'm sat here.
Yeah, we're in Brisbane as we record it. Yeah.
So hopefully these episodes are going well. I'm going to try and keep an eye on it as much as I can. It would be amazing to see some comments when I do log on to the accounts and have a goose. So please leave a comment on YouTube or on Instagram or TikTok or anything, Spotify, whatever. And we will see you tomorrow for Kimi Antonelli, I think.
Okay. Exciting stuff.
We'll see you tomorrow.